Hey, this is Chris with BeerTownAustin. I'm here at Opal Divine's Marina with JB, John Brack from Austin Homebrew, and all around great homebrewer guy here in Austin. Welcome to Over Pint. Cheers.
Excellent. Thank you, Chris.
We're both drinking Live Oak. I've got the IPA. It's one of my favorite local IPAs. And what do you got?
I've got the Live Oak Pills. Absolutely. Great beer.
Yeah, also great. So, JB, you've been in the Austin beer scene for a while. I think most of posers like myself, moved here in the 2000s, but and maybe think, old beers, Live Oak. Well, that's not true. There's been a lot of history as far as brewing in Austin. You want to kind of give us a quick rundown on that?
Sure. So yeah, I've been coming to Austin since the early 80s, and I finally got to move here in 91, so that was a great day.
Moving to Austin is a good day.
Get to church. Austin's a great town, so to Austin. So yeah, 91, I got here. I was already into the beer. I was already into beer. I've always been into beer since the early 80s when nobody was really getting it. I was already starting to get it.
That's only in the Kool-Aid in the early 80s.
German beers, British beers was about all you could really get back then that was good. But opened my mind up to what it could be like. Then, of course, like mid-90s, man, just with the passage of the brew pub law here in Texas, it just blew up overnight, and I was right here on the scene, and it was just great time. I was still single, and it was a fun time. So there's a lot going on. I mean, even 6th Street, for instance, had a bunch of little brew pubs up and down it, and we had some pretty interesting local micros, Frio Brewing Company, Yellow Rose Brewing Company out of San Antonio, let's see, Pecan Street Lager, some really great old beers at Balcones Fault that just aren't even around anymore. Those were like little micros, and then of course the brew pub scene took off and then imploded, and I think we've stabilized at about 5 now as far as brew pubs. The last count, I think that's about right.
Is that right?
But yeah, so now micros are happening, so that's what's happening in Austin right now, as everybody knows. The micro scene is blowing up. You got obviously Live Oak and 512 and Independence and Real Ale, and so it's kind of cool to see the transition, like how it went kind of heady at first, right, and then it just couldn't last, right? It's like it's like the tech bubble, it's like it just couldn't happen that quick, right? But now stabilized, now modern brewers have an idea of what they're getting into by seeing others, failures, basically. You go, okay, I'm gonna do this right, So a lot of the new guys are really doing it right. So it's pretty cool to see.
So I know we were talking earlier about, I guess, how homebrewing has, I guess, like Austin homebrewers have been kind of, I don't know, it's almost been like a hand in hand with the brew pub scene and with really the microbrews. I guess you want to maybe tell me a little bit about I guess sort of how that has influenced the history and where you see that going here in the near future.
Okay, well, it's been a real part of where it's at now. I mean, a big part. Guys at Live Oak still homebrew. It's great. Steve and Julie will come by the shop and they'll buy stuff and they'll homebrew at Live Oak. You gotta love that. So. Most brewers, after you get to that point, you don't have time to homebrew. And they do these little small batches, having fun and stuff, but most of the, Kevin Brennan is a great example. Kevin was a customer of mine for many years, and then I read an article where hey, who's this guy? You know, I know you. You know, we got Kevin Brand from 512 is a homebrewer.
Yeah.
All the guys at Live Oak, Rob at Independence, all the guys at Real Ale. So common thread.
Yeah.
Has been. I don't see any reason that it wouldn't continue. You know, because it's very kind of you hone your skills on a small level. For instance, I happen to be lucky enough right now to be employing Jeff Stuffings, who's going to hopefully open Jester King. And I mean, the guy knows his stuff, you know. I mean, and he's a homebrewer, you know, and having him working there is great. I was just like, all I got to do is teach you the register. You know everything you need to know about brewing, you know. So just another example of it's a direct, you know, it's definitely a direct, linear relationship between doing it for fun and then taking it to the next level and holding on for the ride, because the first few years are kind of iffy for most of them.
Yeah, you know, I think part of, you know, what homebrewing is influencing, I think, like the Austin beer scene as far as brewers go, but also, you know, drinkers. I think we've got, you know, such a vibrant homebrewing community. I think that it makes these kind of, I don't know, I guess like kind of like I'm trying to think of a positive, I was about to say spazzy, but spazzy sounds kind of bad, but like, you know, people who really want to nerd out about beer and, you know, are just kind of become fanatical about it. And I think when, you know, people like that, you know, like we see, you know, like, you know, Kevin and Nate trying a homebrew recipe on a large scale, you know, we get real excited about it. And I think that kind of stuff fuels, I guess, like the drinkability hype, or I guess whatever you would want to call that.
Sure. And another thing that's great is when you have a pro brewery that offers a competition where homebrewers can come in and make their recipe, and then it's done on a pro scale. I can think of two that do that. That's St. Arnold's out of Houston, and also Freetail, new brew pub in San Antonio. You get stop by there if you're in San Antonio. Great brew pub.
Southern Star did that too. They've got that.
That's right.
That Pro-Am Saison, that homebrew recipe,
which was actually won by a couple of the Zealots.
Oh yeah, right.
Mark and Scott. So.
Yeah, I guess. Why don't we talk about the Zealots real quick?
Cool.
You know, moving on.
Sure. All right, a little bit about Austin Zealots. We're the
local homebrew group.
Yeah, local homebrew club in Austin. There's actually a couple of them now. There's a new club just starting up called the Carboys. They're up in Cedar Park. Went to the Dig Pub last night for the first time. Great pub up in Cedar Park. Finally some good beers up there.
Good for them.
Yeah, you know. So, little club up there. I've been an Austin Zealot for probably 8 years or so.
Okay.
Great club. You know, we've grown really a lot, you know, but I get a lot of inspiration there. And there's been a lot of great brewers come out of there. And nowadays we're starting to win more and more awards, and it's just a good, kind of brain trust, right? Of different ideas, and you bring in, you know, your beer, and then you get some really honest feedback, which makes you a better brewer.
Right.
So my beers have gotten a lot better just from the negativity of the criticism of these people. That makes me a better brewer. I don't want everybody to tell me it's great when it's really not, and it needs work. I mean, it's hard to make great beer, you know, and it takes a certain amount of science and culinary skills kind of all together.
Yeah, and I think, you know, the cool thing, what I get out of the Zealots, being a member, is you know, the email group, you know, where if I have a question, if I'm brewing something last minute, I could, you know, shoot it up on the internet and real quick get a response and sometimes I get 5 different opinions, but I'll get some kind of opinion about how to do something. And I think that's real cool. It's real,
apparently
it's real
there's
helpful.
no lack of idle time at a lot of people's employment. Oh, I can get right on that response.
All right, well, we're going to go ahead and wrap it up.
Cool.
Thanks, JB. Appreciate it. And
no problem.
thanks to Opal Divines and Live Oak. Okay.
All
Cheers.
Texas beers.
All Texas beers. Yeah.
Cheers.
Cheers. Bye, everybody.